Hi, this is Bill Singleton, and today I'm going to show you how I painted this. This is a scene of saguaros, a saguaro cactus with Palo Verde tree growing around it. So let's get started. I speeded this up. It took me about an hour to draw and paint the whole thing. So the drawing part was probably about a minute. I just basically laid in where I wanted stuff to go. So the colors, as you can see up in the upper left-hand corner there, I'm just using white and 4 colors for this entire painting. So basically just the first stage is just blocking it in. So that's what I'm doing now. And I don't show the palette in this one, but you can kind of get an idea of what I'm doing here. It's just basically those 4 colors. So keeping in mind what I've told you in some of the other videos is working in the desert, doing plants and stuff. Generally speaking, the underside of plants and the shadowy side is usually a warmer color. So whatever it is you're working with, usually the light is the ambient skylight on the leaves and things gives the plants and stuff a cooler cast where the light is hitting. So usually the lighter, cooler colors are where the light's hitting. The understory is usually warmer, so keep that in mind. So those warmer greens. Now I'm going in with the darker branches and stuff in here. So a little bit different colors here. So this is a Palo Verde that's in full bloom. So usually in late spring, early summer, they bloom out, and it's just spectacular in Tucson. Pretty amazing. So you see this a lot where there's saguaros that are sort of engulfed with these trees, and it looks like the tree grew up around the saguaro, but it was probably just the opposite. Palo Verde trees are nurse plants for saguaros. A baby saguaro probably out in the open would not survive. Just the sunlight would be too intense, the heat and cold. But under a Palo Verde tree, they tend to do well, and they will mature and grow and eventually be much taller than the Palo Verde that was the original nurse plant. So I'm continuing and putting in some of the branches here. So once again, warmer colors, because these are the lower branches that are not getting direct sunlight, so they're usually warmer. Some of the branches that I've done towards the top and out to the light, you notice are a little lighter and cooler. And by warm and cool, I'm talking about color temperatures. You know, reds, oranges, yellows are generally warm colors. Blues, greens, violets are generally cool colors. And white is always a cool color. So whenever you add white to anything, you're cooling it down. So I'm using, for these yellow flowers here, I'm using white mixed with that yellow a lot in there. So some of it's straight yellow, just right from the tube, and some of it where the light's hitting it is the white mixed with that yellow. So the purpose of this illustration was to, it's actually a part of a much larger illustration, and I'll show you at the end of this where I've used it. So my usual process is to paint stuff by hand, which I'm doing now, and then I scan it. And then I'll take the background out. I bring it into Photoshop, and I will, where it's all white here in the background, I'll totally take that out. Then I can bring it in as a layer into another illustration. And I'll show you that at the end. This is actually for a mural. So, all right, touching up the cactus now. I laid in the shadow areas. Now I'm putting the highlights of the ribs, which is once again a cooler color where the light is hitting it. So, just about done here. Like I said, this took me about an hour. So I speeded things up considerably here. And this is just about done, just putting some final touches on it. And this is the final illustration here. And you'll see coming up right about here is where I laid it into the other illustration. So you'll see it in the background there. So it's the second cacti behind. And this is how it looks in the overall illustration. So it's in the upper left. You see where I laid it in. So all this was done by hand and then scanned and painted. And then the final purpose for this is a mural that's going to go in a window. So it's going to kind of have a stained glass effect. So it's about 7 feet tall, probably about 10 feet wide. So the digital file was then sent to the printer, and they printed on a type of plexiglass so they can put it into the windows. So it's fitted in there. So basically the process is doing it by hand and then scanning it, bringing it into Photoshop, and layering it in with a lot of other illustrations that were done by hand, and get a digital file sent out to the printer, and voila. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, leave it in the comments. Give me a thumbs up if you like it, and hope you have a good one. We'll see you next time. Thanks.